my name is Barbara Leland, and I'm a certified holistic health coach in Huntington Beach, and I work with individuals and groups to help them get to their health goal. Today, we're going to be talking about chocolate. So I do healthy eating classes for the community, and today's class, we're going to focus on, as I said, chocolate. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see the PowerPoint that I prepared for you. So hold on one second, just bear with me, and I will share my screen. Okay, so all you need is love, right? And chocolate, and maybe not in that order. Sometimes all we need is chocolate, and then maybe a little bit of love. So just seeing the word chocolate makes my mouth water. How about you? And chocolate has long been cherished, and actually the name of chocolate, the name of cacao, comes from the Greek name for cacao, which is Theobroma cacao, and that translates to food of the gods in Greek. So it's been used as medicine, it's been used as currency, and it's even been used as aphrodisiac by the Aztecs, by Montezuma, the 16th century emperor of the Aztecs. When he noticed that his ability to please the ladies was enhanced by chocolate, he decided to drink more of it. And it was said that he drank 3 gallons of chocolate of cocoa a day to increase his libido. So take that as you will. But chocolate has long symbolized love, and we enjoy the Valentine's Day and other holidays as well. What about Easter? What about Mother's Day? Christmas? So many different holidays we enjoy chocolate, right? But is it really a health food? Well, it can be. So dark chocolate, which is 70% cacao or more, has a lot of flavonoids and minerals and antioxidants. Flavonoids are antioxidants, and antioxidants, as you know, protect your cells from oxidative damage, which causes cancer, right? Other diseases that can come from oxidative damage are cardiovascular disease, cognitive disease, diabetes, things like that. Okay, so we want to make sure we have plenty of flavonoids and plenty of antioxidants to keep our cells protected. When we're talking about 70% dark chocolate, what are we talking about? We're talking about, let's take a bar of chocolate. That bar of chocolate is made 70% of cacao or cocoa liqueur and cocoa butter. That is the cocoa mass. And then 30% of that is cane sugar and perhaps vanilla bean and maybe some other things, depending on the bar and the quality of the chocolate. But we're getting 70% of the cacao. Okay. And then there are other things that contain flavonoids as well as chocolate. Berries, blueberries, cherries, nuts, green tea, olives, all of these contain flavonoids, but dark chocolate contains the most, and the darker, the better. So is it cacao or is it cocoa? What's the difference? Cacao is least processed, so it's often shown in the market as raw, but all cacao beans need to be dried and processed to some degree. So they're not exactly raw. They're allowed to call it raw, but it's not 100% raw. Okay. Cocoa powder is made by removing the fat from the cacao beans during the processing and then grinding the leftover solids into powder. Now you can have cacao powder as well. So sometimes it's used interchangeably. Okay. Dark chocolate combines cocoa solids with cocoa butter, with sugar, and some form of emulsifier, like sometimes lecithin, to hold the ingredients together. And then the cacao and the cocoa can mean different things, but when they say it on a bar of chocolate, they say 70% cacao or 70% cocoa, they're using the terms interchangeably. But cacao, the difference is cacao beans are dried, fermented, and heated at a low temperature. And then that's how that's processed. The cocoa is harvested the same way as cacao, but heated at a higher temperature. And the final product is much sweeter than cacao. So why is it better to have cacao? There are more antioxidants that haven't been destroyed from the heating. The cocoa nibs are good for chocolate chip replacement, but the pros for cocoa are that it's sweeter tasting and maybe you might use a little less sugar in it. And it's better for baking. Cons, not as sweet as cocoa. And the cons of cocoa are that it's more processed and it decreases the antioxidants and the nutrients. Okay, so those are how cacao and cocoa are different. So we talked a little bit about flavonoids, and then let's just talk a little bit more. They're antioxidant, like we said, they reduce oxidative stress. They help with high blood pressure. They help with diabetes. They help healthy cholesterol levels. They're anti-inflammatory. They help cognitive function, like we were talking about with dementia and other cognitive disabilities. And then last but not least, I had to put this picture in because they also help with building. So they increase muscle mass, strength, and endurance. Okay. And dark chocolate can actually give you energy. It contains caffeine and theobromine. And theobromine is something that's has similar effects to caffeine. And that can boost energy and increase your alertness. But when you eat it in moderation, it probably won't disrupt your sleep. 1 ounce of dark chocolate has about 20 to 25 milligrams of caffeine compared to a cup of green tea, which has about 40. Black tea has about 50, and coffee has 100 to 150, depending. And then dark chocolate can also reduce your stress because of the magnesium. So magnesium helps with stress and anxiety. It also has tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid and neurotransmitter that produces serotonin. So like, for example, tryptophan's in turkey. You know how you fall asleep at Thanksgiving, the tryptophan relaxes you, produces serotonin, gives you a good feeling. And that is also in chocolate. So there was a study done in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. Eating dark chocolate with 70% or higher cacao lowers levels of cortisol. And remember, cortisol is the fight or flight hormone. So that is when you're stressed out, your cortisol increases, preparing you for dealing with a stressful situation. For example, if a tiger is chasing you, your cortisol is going to go up so that you're able to run from the tiger or fight the tiger, etc. Same, that was our caveman roots. Now in modern day, we're dealing with other kinds of stress, but our cortisol still increases when the stress levels are up and prepares us for a fight or flight situation. The problem is when cortisol is increased all the time, it leads to uh, disruption in our health. And we need to find ways to lower our cortisol so that we can keep our bodies healthy. So dark chocolate is one way that reduces stress, reduces cortisol. Interestingly enough, there are many other ways: meditation, exercise, walking, deep breathing, many other ways to reduce our cortisol. Chocolate is one of them. And you want to make sure you eat it in moderation because 1 ounce of dark chocolate contains about 175 calories. So moderation translates to about 1 ounce of dark chocolate 3 times a week. Now, you know your own body type and uh, your wiggle room for better, for whatever to say, better or worse, your wiggle room. So you know if you can handle more chocolate or less chocolate than that, right? But just average about 1 ounce of dark chocolate 3 times a week. And chocolate candy, we've been talking about the benefits of chocolate, but chocolate candy which is how we normally consume chocolate often, is usually high in sugar because chocolate's bitter, right? We're not going to eat chocolate just like that. So the sugar will bring down the bitterness, but sugar is super detrimental to your health. Um, Dark chocolate has about half the sugar of milk chocolate, so that helps. But then when you add things, even to dark chocolate, they make things that are healthy into things that are not. You can add caramel and nougat and marshmallow, and that increases the sugar content and maybe it increases the deliciousness of it, but it's not doing your health any good. And then also, what about like, I won't say brand, but what about candy coated chocolates? What are they coating it with? Where do those bright colors come from? Um, there's so many things that we're adding to our chocolate that takes a healthy product and makes it into a not healthy product. So make sure what you are eating is something you want in your body. And then there are other downsides. So uh, for some people, there can be acid reflux or migraines from chocolate. And also, chocolate can be bad for people with kidney disease. And then uh, chocolate can lower your bone density because of the oxalates in chocolate. Oxalates in chocolate, oxalates period, reduce calcium absorption. So there's oxalates in chocolate, so you might be eating calcium, but you're not absorbing it as well because if you're overdoing it in chocolate, that's going to prevent it from being absorbed. And then also heavy metals, lead and cadmium have been found in chocolate, in some chocolates. And it used to be thought that this was only in inferior types of chocolate. And now we're finding that it's even in organic chocolates and good high quality chocolates. And we're going to talk more about that. So in December of last year, there was a report through Consumer Reports published that there were heavy metals in dark chocolate. And here is the website for that report. And you can click on that, or you can actually copy and paste that website um, to read the full report. But basically, what they did is they took 28 bars of chocolate, they tested them all for lead and cadmium. And of those 28 bars, what they found were the results were not so great. So the federal, the United States does not have a maximum allowable dose level of lead. California does. So they used the level that California has as their basis for what was acceptable and what wasn't. And California's maximum allowable dose level is 0.5 micrograms for lead and 4.1 micrograms for cadmium. 23 of the 28 bars tested were over the limits. So that means 5 were not out of 28. And here are the 5 that were not over the limits. Now they still had some lead and some cadmium in it, but they were as far as the California, which is the strictest level, as far as the California maximum daily allowable value, they were considered safe or safer. And these are the 5 that they found to be okay. So you can see that all of these are below 100% of the Consumer Reports levels. If it's in red, it's above the Consumer Reports levels. These are not. These are all below. Okay. However, these all were high in cadmium, and there's organic and there's non-organic. There's brands that we know. There's brands that might be a little bit less known, but all of these were above the Consumer Reports levels for cadmium. They were below for lead, but they were above for cadmium. Now these were all high in lead, and they were below for cadmium, but they were too high for lead. And there's a lot of brands here that we know, like Chocolove. I love Chocolove. I love the name Chocolove. I love their branding and their marketing. Trader Joe's was 192% of the maximum daily allowed for their dark chocolate, 72%. Hershey's, again, chocolate love. So this is really concerning. Lead is a dangerous heavy metal. And then these were both high in both lead and cadmium. Okay. Again, Trader Joe's came across. So I know now that they are working on this to get this to Trader Joe's. You can see there was the higher, the 85% cacao, which we're always striving to get more and more percentage, right? Because we think the higher the percentage, the better for us it is. Well, not in this case. All right, so this is something that is concerning. And these are the organs that can be affected by lead: kidney, heart, brain, bones, intestines, and the reproductive organs. And Consumer Reports will list the products in order of the lead level first, because lead poses a greater risk than cadmium to the body. And these are the organs that are affected by the cadmium, and that's kidneys, skin, lungs, and bone. So cadmium is also dangerous. The way the lead comes about is when they process the cacao beans. So when they're dried, usually they're dried out in the open and there's pollution in the area, and lead is picked up from the pollution. And then also when they transport the beans for processing, the transportation, the lead that is picked up from the pollution during transportation is a problem. And then cadmium is found in the soil, not just of chocolate, not just of cacao beans, but also in the soil of many vegetables and fruits, actually. So we are getting cadmium in our diet. So what do we do about it? Well, know your chocolate. So go back to the Consumer Reports, check and see if things are changing. Know your chocolate, but also protect yourself, because you're going to be out somewhere and you're going to have some chocolate. You're not going to know what kind of chocolate is this. You're going to get out your computer and start Googling it. No, you're not going to know. So you're never going to eat chocolate again? That's doubtful. So protect yourself from the cadmium and the lead with food. And foods that have calcium and iron and vitamin C, because vitamin C helps the body absorb iron, protects the body against lead. Okay. And we all know what foods that have calcium: cheese, dairy, salmon with bones, eggs, broccoli, leafy greens. Vitamin C would be, also iron is in leafy greens, and in red meat too. And then also vitamin C, we're going to have strawberries and oranges, pineapple and melons and grapefruit, other citruses, okay? So we want to protect ourselves against the lead with these foods. And then, and then foods with vitamin A, C, E, and magnesium, selenium, and zinc can help prevent or reduce the toxic effects of cadmium on your organs. So you want to make sure that you're in a lot of the same foods that we're eating that have the calcium and iron also have these minerals and vitamins that will be protective. So what about carob? Carob is also, it tastes like chocolate, not 100%, but it tastes similar to chocolate. But it doesn't have quite the same richness because it doesn't have the same amount of fat. So it's low in fat, it's high in fiber, and it doesn't have the caffeine or oxalates that chocolate has. So it's not going to prevent your absorption of the nutrients, because it doesn't have the oxalates. So it's higher, it's sweeter than cacao, it's naturally sweeter, so you don't need to add as much sugar. It does have less iron than cacao, but because it has less oxalates, it's absorbed better. And it's also high in antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. Not as high as cacao, but it is high in antioxidants and is anti-inflammatory. And then usually people who have migraines or acid reflux can generally tolerate carob. And also people who have kidney disease can usually tolerate carob. And uh, also, it's also considered an aphrodisiac if that's important to you in some cultures. And guess what? Carob is safe for dogs, and we definitely want to keep our dogs safe. This is my girl. So, chocolate is in our history and in our culture, and I'm sure we all remember, maybe not all of us, but hope some of us remember this scene in I Love Lucy. And we're not going to give up on chocolate. So, even though there's lead and cadmium, we can still eat chocolate and still help our health. So, how can we have chocolate in a healthy manner so that we're not consuming so much sugar? First of all, you're going to get cacao that or cocoa powder that is a good non-lead brand, right? And non-cadmium. And then this is a recipe where you can take something such as brownies, which maybe would not be considered your first go-to for healthy food, but you can make these brownies. They're made with black beans, so there's no flour. They're made with coconut sugar, so they're not going to disrupt your uh, glucose level. They are made with chocolate chips, so there is a little sugar there. They're made with avocado, so there's healthy oils, and walnuts, which of course are good for you. So this recipe, I've made it over and over again. It's a hit. Um, so if you want to, you can go to this, you can copy this, or you can go to my website where the recipe is posted. And that's about it for today. If you have any questions, please go ahead and send me an email at 2life-2health@hotmail.com. And I welcome your questions anytime. Okay, so I will see you next time, and thanks for watching. I hope you learned some information, and I hope you still can enjoy chocolate. Don't don't be afraid of it. Just know where your chocolate's coming from. Know what the chocolate is, okay? All right. Thank you so much, and I'm going to stop my share now and say goodbye. And thank you so much for joining me.